Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have an exciting real estate related video for you guys today. This is a topic we've been discussing a multitude of times on the channel, but there's been some really interesting, exciting developments here in the UK based around real estate and land registry, all of these things, and how we will be coming into the utilization transformation of blockchain and Web3 in the real estate space. Absolutely huge sector and industry. So without further ado, let's go straight into that. Before we do, make sure you smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and hit that like button as well. It really helps the channel out and get to new audiences so we can continue our education to the masses. Guys, this is very, very interesting. Before we talk further about the integration of the UK government's movements on digitalisation of real estate, I just wanted to mention this point. So when we're looking at investment opportunities and perspectives, so we kind of relate a lot of these projects like PROPY, for example. We've mentioned in the past about Ripple, Hedera, the big chains going out there right now to encourage certain solutions towards their chains relating to real estate and commercial estate, all these kind of like property developments, etc. The market in general, guys, is absolutely staggering. So at the moment, the approximation of the market value, and this is in trillions, guys, trillions of dollars worth, $613 trillion is the current market value of the real estate market worldwide. Now, this is projected by 2028 to hit approximately 729 trillion. This is a phenomenal number, and of course each individual market and region and country has its own a contribution to these numbers, of course, but just mentioning here in China alone, 131 trillion. Of course, the Evergrande situation recently just shows the magnitude of those kind of companies potentially collapsing, how big that sends a ripple across the real estate market around the world. But that is a global market aspect, and it's absolutely huge, guys. So when we're talking about this and the magnitude of how many properties are in existence, how many properties are being developed right now for the now and the future, the numbers will continuously grow. And by 2030, who knows, that could be hitting way beyond those numbers that they anticipate already. Now, driving this conversation back into fruition of what we were discussing just a minute ago, we do cover projects like PROPY, which go into a bit more detail in a second. We have done introduction videos to PROPY in the past and generalization around Web3 blockchain integration in this space, how we will utilize NFTs and smart contracts to deliver this as a service and a solution moving forward. But it's all very well talking. Yes, PROPY has a massive amount of user case now into the reality of things, and many other companies are doing accordingly as well. But this is where it starts getting real definition. So earlier this month, new digital property market steering group formed to drive crucial digital transformation in the land and property market. Now, these guys are known as DPMSG, Digital Property Market Steering Group. Very interesting name. And mention here that the last Land Registration Act here in the UK was done in 2002. There was accommodation within some of these acts to encourage some form of digitalisation. This has been very slow moving, but we know here in the UK, roll ascent based around trade finance regulation and law passing, which comes live 20th of September this year. We know obviously cryptocurrency, stablecoins, etc. becoming law, and the usage of these asset formalities becoming law as well, or approved for usage. It's very interesting timing. Many other countries around the world are doing very similar movements in terms of creating these bills, these laws. And of course, the real estate side of things is very much falling behind, if you like, with regards to the resource capabilities, the abilities of technological advancements in these areas. So what's very interesting is a huge group of founding members here from a multitude of companies and organizations around the UK, heavily obviously related in land registration, conveyancing, etc., surveyors. All of these things, by the way, guys, for most that don't know outside the UK, it may be similar in your countries. There's a massively long process at the moment of buying and selling houses, and reasons behind that a lot of people don't always see as buyers and sellers of property. But of course, there's things like surveying in terms of valuation of properties. You've got the deed exchanges, contractual exchanges, etc., solicitors, the fees, the costs. everything you can possibly associate with this. And typically, it can take sometimes 3 to 9 months in some instances of houses to exchange in a buying and selling format. Now we've spoken briefly in the past, and I'll give a bit of an insightful overview of this operation with blockchain integration and smart contract operation as well. Is this formality that we can almost remove majority of these intermediaries. Now, a company like PROPY, for example, is going along the ethos that not necessarily replacing, I don't like to use that word too much, but certainly the integration of this technology will essentially allow real estate management to reduce significantly. Smart contract application means that you and I as digital identities will have all our information gathered within it, including our property, our deeds, our land registry information. This will be done on data algorithm, AI, artificial intelligence introductions as well. And of course, with blockchain having that verification and processing aspect, and the speed at which it can do that becomes very, very encouraging indeed to not only just reduce costs, but improve significantly the efficiency of the market itself. So this group that's organizing itself has an event coming up in September. I think it's behind closed doors. It's not quite a public one. But this vision here, just read out this bit. We want everyone involved in buying, leasing and selling land and property to experience a secure and modern market that is transparent, customer-friendly and business-friendly at all stages through collaboration, innovation and focus on emerging digital technologies. Think about that. We will build on existing progress across the home buying and selling system to get a better result for the customer, simpler, faster, more certain and less stressful. So there's loads of application here, particularly interested in this, especially in relation to ID, digital deeds, digital registration, and providing important information to consumers about both the process and the property at an early stage. So we've already got the renditions and the mentions here of digital identity. We've got the addition here of contractual aspects, hence smart contracts, of course, the integration of that. And of course, the timescales. Involving solicitors at early stage would make the process smoother and more efficient. All of this being linked together, guys. And this report here was very interesting indeed to mention all of that as well in a more concise format. But it's that point about the digitalization of everything. Now, digitalization is a traditional terminology that we've probably seen since the Web 2 era, back in the 90s, etc. But with the relation now of going into the Web 3 format, the utilization of things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, you using your properties within that, which encourages the introduction of things like smart contracts, the information that's on here, digital identification, and all of these things being included within that. So we go from that 3 to 9 month process to potentially being able to do something within a matter of days. And I've been speaking with a few individuals through the property development markets in the blockchain space. And this is becoming more and more apparent, more and more real by the day. And it's absolutely fascinating to see this because we've been going on about it for a long time. We've never really seen any full movements from the proper regulators and the proper organizations in these spaces, because it's all very well us being able to buy and sell houses through smart contract and the ability of things like the Ethereum platform, and removing those areas of potential delays with the likes of real estate agents, the costs of those solicitors, the back and forth of documentation. Now we have this in play, and certainly being a huge conversation, it becomes very exciting as an investor and someone that tries to understand the market a bit more and the development of this sector as well. So we revert back to these statistical numbers about the market value globally. Imagine being able to increase significantly the time that it takes for buying and selling property, but also the way that we do it as well. How fast can the economy grow even further with this application in process? And of course, the things like CBDCs coming in, where we talk about the conversation around the reduction, if not potential removal of things like inflation rates, interest rates, where that goes down the line could be absolutely formidable in cost saving and the speed at which we can develop and process property. So all these things going on, guys, very interesting indeed to see this development. This is just another topic here on August the 11th, coming here from today's conveyancer. Land Registry kicked off August by announcing the formation of the DPMSG, a new coalition of key property industry players designed to lead the drive towards digital conveyancing. So this is why I'm getting quite excited now, because we're going from that topical discussion of real estate being utilized by Web3, taking some of those use cases from the likes of PROPY and other companies. Ubiquity is another prime example of that. Labs group that we've spoken about in the past as well, into the formality of actually becoming a full conversation at governmental level. This is where it gets really interesting. As I said, all the things going on in September this year, specifically related to finance, the utilization of and regulation of cryptocurrencies, stable coins, CBDCs coming as well. It's not coincidental time-wise at all, guys. But very, very interesting to see this recent development. I'll relate to this crypto slate. This is how I came across majority of my coins and things a few years back in relation to certain sectors of interest to me, where I knew there was a huge amount of market value. And of course, real estate was one of those. Now, this isn't all of them, but I've just mentioned Labs Group. PROPY is obviously one of the big ones. There's loads of others here as well. But again, the bigger chains are heavily related to this as well in more recent times, as we've seen things like Hedera talking about very much in greater detail around the real estate market in general, but also the likes of Ripple as well, getting heavily involved through their ecosystems for real estate tokenization and operability. It really is an exciting time for the market, the industry, and of course us as investors and users of this technology as well, to see some real concrete use cases turning into actual utilization. This is the whole key narrative for the next few years, in my opinion, is the utility of these tokens and these chains. So I'm going to mention PROPY here quickly from a price perspective. Unfortunately, my trade view kind of fell apart this morning. Hopefully gets fixed. But in the momentum of this, we're currently trading around the sort of 30-cent price mark. It has had some fluctuational patterns up towards 50 cents in the last few months. But the point being here is the opportunity as these markets get increased awareness and confidence within them and more understanding. You can see even clearly here back in 2021, one of the previous highs was $3.87. So from this current point, it's absolutely huge momentum upwards. Even in its sort of existing stages at the beginning, when it had its relatively sort of launch event, it got as high as $4.70. Now, the magnitude of the likes of PROPY becomes very interesting, where more and more people are buying and selling houses, but the value of these properties becomes higher, and the utilization of that PROPY token becomes increasingly important in terms of its tokenomics and everything as well. So more and more I go on this website each month, more and more higher priced properties coming available, and the ability to see these have virtual tours, even buying land in itself, and the utilization of the PROPY token and full regulated introduction of smart contracts and change of deeds, exchanges of deeds, etc., all integrated in one place. It is really super exciting, guys. So it gives you a flavor of the opportunity of price points that we could potentially get to with the PROPY token, amongst other chains, and of course other chains' involvements in this particular market. But guys, of course, as we've seen with a multitude of other sectors and incorporations of blockchain, there's no doubt in my mind that we will see some full integrations across the world going on within their own property markets and organizations as well, and maybe following suit as to what the Land Registry has recently announced here in the UK, and the formulation of their group, I'm sure, will send a ripple effect across the world. So guys, that very much wraps up this topic video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's definitely an eye-opener, and hopefully if you haven't done so already, to definitely get involved in raising the awareness in your own minds of the property market and the utilization of blockchain DLT technology, and of course that smart application as well. We will do a video in the next week of the top 5 crypto assets related to the real estate world. Hopefully you find that informative. We did do one in one of our earlier videos on the channel, but definitely needs a refresh, especially with things increasing in awareness and opportunity that we've just seen today. So guys, thanks very much for watching this one. We'll see you in the next real estate update video. Take care. Bye bye.